Shep?
Jim, turns out Abu Musab al-Zarqawi lived for just a bit after the airstrikes, but died after. That's the word from a U.S. general who says Iraqi security forces found the al-Qaeda in Iraq leader wounded but alive and conscious after the 500-pound bombs hit his safe house, which I guess you could read to understand that allowed him to suffer just a bit. Zarqawi mumbled something after the troops arrived, then dropped dead.
The U.S. and Iraqi governments are calling the death of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi a victory in the war on terror, but some on the left here at home are calling it one big scam. One liberal weblog reader says the news is just another wave of propaganda from the Bush cabal, saying he was likely killed years ago or is still alive. Another calls it suspicious that Zarqawi's death comes just as the marriage amendment failed and Bush's poll numbers are slipping, adding, "I don't buy it." Meanwhile, the Washington Times reports that California Democrat Pete Stark called the announcement a political stunt to, quote, cover Bush's rear so he doesn't have to answer for the deaths of Iraqi civilians.
Jim, new information on Zarqawi's takedown, and in addition, we'll go to the Mississippi coast where many things have changed for the better. Then there's tonight's report. He was alive after the airstrike. That's just one of the new details we're learning today about Abu Musab al-Zarqawi's final moments. U.S. commanders now say they're getting more information from troops who were there. They say the terror leader was moving and mumbling, sort of, after the bombing. And once he realized he was surrounded by Americans, he tried to make a run for it.
According to the person on the ground, Zarqawi attempted to sort of turn away off the stretcher. Everybody resecured him back onto the stretcher, but he died almost immediately thereafter from the wounds he had received from this airstrike.
Well, the military also showing us some of the treasure trove, as they put it, that it recovered in dozens of raids after the airstrike. Mike Emanuel on Fox Top Story live at the Pentagon. Mike?
Well, Shep, U.S. officials say documents and computer equipment recovered from the scene, now providing valuable intel with the goal of destroying al-Qaeda in Iraq. Some details of the airstrike on that safe house outside Baquba are being closely guarded. The thought is some of the tactics may be used in future missions. Senior military officials do say the airstrike was called for by the commander at the scene, only having a couple of minutes to act. A U.S. military spokesman denies a single informant led them directly to Zarqawi.
It wasn't like somebody said, in that house at this time, you will find Zarqawi. That did not occur. All that person did was provide parts and pieces of that puzzle that allow us to put the whole puzzle together.
But critical intelligence that led to the most wanted terrorist in Iraq being killed. Some discussion today about why graphic photos of him were released, and senior defense officials say the visual image is very important to Iraqis, confirming to them he's not a threat any longer. After Zarqawi died, but before the news broke, the U.S. military conducting 17 focused raids had other suspected al-Qaeda locations. The next night, 39 follow-up raids carried out. 25 suspected al-Qaeda members arrested and 1 killed. The military capturing suicide vests, weapons, ammo, explosives, and stolen Iraqi military uniforms, and more intelligence to check out. Back to Zarqawi, U.S. military officials say he muttered a few final words. They were not easily understood, and then he died. Shep?
Mike Emanuel live at the Pentagon. One top terrorist dies, another speaks. Tonight, a new tape from Usama's right-hand man. What it says and what it means.
Shep, in an effort to prevent possible retaliatory attacks by followers of the insurgent leader, the government has imposed traffic restrictions here in Baghdad and in Diyala province, where Abu Musab al-Zarqawi was found. The Iraqi government has extended the daytime driving ban that was in effect in Baghdad for a few more days and has declared an overnight traffic ban in Diyala province for the next 3 nights. The streets of the capital today were silent and deserted, and there were no deadly bombings. Meantime, Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki promised to build on what he called momentum gained from Zarqawi's death. In an op-ed piece in the Washington Post, the Prime Minister wrote that he hoped the country could now work on defeating the terrorism and sectarianism that the insurgent leader had advocated and encouraged. Maliki also said Iraqi forces are growing in size and capacity and would be taking more responsibility from coalition troops. And he proposed outlawing militias and establishing a state monopoly on weapons. And the U.S. military is moving quickly to try to exploit what they call a treasure trove of information found in searches after Zarqawi's death. Since the Wednesday evening airstrikes that killed the terror leader, coalition troops have conducted 56 raids across the country, including 39 late last night into early this morning. Shep?
Malini Bawa reporting from Baghdad. In his hometown, more than 100 of Zarqawi's relatives gathered to celebrate what they consider his martyrdom, I should say. The group building a mourning tent with a sign that read, "Wedding of the Martyr Hero." The sign reflects their belief that Zarqawi was like a groom as he ascended into heaven. Just 2 days after the airstrike, we're now hearing from Usama's right-hand man. The new tape mentions Zarqawi, but when was it made and what does he say? Details in 60 seconds.
At what point does it air?
It's June, you know. We're on it. Headlines next. Don't miss them.